is not an introduction. We just want to get the show on the road. Adefemi has done a beautiful work capturing the ethos and the essence of what we are doing today. Today is not about mudslinging. Today is not about picking faults. Today is not about going after people. I'm hoping Mr. Ademola Alajire is in the room because we say this without any kind of equivocation. This is not a gathering to attack any individual. This is not a gathering to destroy any organization or any sports federation. This is an opportunity to introspect. This is an opportunity to reflect. And this is an opportunity to begin to tell ourselves that we can do better. And hopefully, we get to that destination where we can be proud of our sports. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for being part of this epoch-making, this auspicious event in November. All right, to get us all started today, before we go straight into the panel section, because today is not about a lot of ceremonies, but straight about business, I would like to invite a man most of us know because he's synonymous with sports. What has happened, or funny that has happened to sports in the last 20 years? Mama Sports, you will attest to this because he's a man that you've had to deal with time and time again. But he's not coming on the platform of his current employers because he's part of the change we're talking about. We're talking about no other than the chairman of the organizing committee of the Big Sports Dialogue 1.0. Ladies and gentlemen, with your hands clapping if you're not too busy, please welcome the chairman, Mr. Osaze Ebueku, for his opening speech. You can do better than that if you want to. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Osaze Ebueku. I'm a Nigerian and very passionate about our sports.
Okay.
I would like to stand on existing protocol, but more importantly, just to appreciate everyone that has found it fit, honorable to be part of this dialogue. Most especially, I want to thank the chairman of the National Sports Commission, the DG, and all the representatives of the federal government present here. Let me go to my speech. It's a very short one so that we keep to time. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the Big Sports Dialogue. We have timed it the 1.0, a forum we conceived not as another conference, but as a national intervention, a moment of truth, a platform for collective soul searching, and above all, a starting point for genuine reform in Nigerian sports. When we began planning this event months ago, one conviction guided us. Nigeria is too gifted, too passionate, and too full of talent to be performing below its potential. Something had to shift, and conversions like this are the first step in shifting cultures, systems, and mindsets. Today, we gather at a time when the nation is demanding answers from the heartbreak of our Super Eagles' recent collapse, to the concerns over our athletes' welfare, to the questions surrounding governance, transparency, and accountability. Nigerian sports is standing at a crossroad. There's no doubt about that. But the purpose of this dialogue is not to lament. Half of the problem is solved because men that are gathered in this room have the solution. And with collective vision, I think that we will get to the promised land. But the purpose of, like I said, is to rebuild. I want to sincerely acknowledge the bold leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, whose decision to reestablish the National Sports Commission has fundamentally changed the architecture of sports administration in Nigeria, no doubt about it. It is a reform that many spoke about for decades, but only this administration had the political will to implement it. And we must give kudos to this administration. Thank you. If you're clapping, please, we will appreciate that you clap. Today again, because of that leadership, we have structure, we have clarity, and we have the opportunity to imagine a new sports ecosystem built on competence, transparency, investment, and performance. I also want to commend from the bottom of my heart the chairman of the NSC, Malam Shehu Diko, and of course, the man from Abeokuta, the Director General of the National Sports Commission, the man who I call my brother, Honorable Bukola Olakpade, for embracing this dialogue and supporting platforms that hold the system accountable while pushing the national progress agenda. To our panelists, we're going to be sitting down here to discuss, our sponsors, volunteers, and every person who chose to be here. I want to say a very big thank you. Your presence is a statement. It means you believe, as we do, that Nigerian sports can rise again, and it will rise again. As chairman of the organizing committee, I assure you that today's dialogue has been designed to be honest. We're going to be very fearless and solution-driven. We will confront hard truths. We will ask the right questions. We will challenge old habits, and we will chart a new path for our sports. Our goal is simple: to ensure that this event becomes the spark that triggers long-term reform across all levels of Nigerian sports. Let us commit to one thing today: not just talking about, but acting. Not just diagnosing and talking problems, but implementing solutions. Not just pointing fingers, but taking responsibility. Together, we can build the future our athletes deserve. Together, we strongly believe we can restore pride to the green and white. And together, we can make Nigerian sports a genuine engine of national unity, development, and global excellence. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you and welcome you to the Big Sports Dialogue. We have termed it 1.0. God bless, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
The Big Sports Dialogue.
Big Sports Dialogue.
Known as the
Have you guys
Big Sport
anyway?
Dialogue 1.0
Sports
said
dialogue
it aims
with
to
massive
transform
sports
Nigeria's
summit.
Nigeria watched in pain as the Super Eagles fell short in a World Cup playoff we should never have lost. A collapse built on chaos, confusion, and the cracks we've ignored for far too long. A nation disappointed, players frustrated, fans heartbroken, and a system exposed. But on the 24th of November, at the Villa Dome Ikoyi, the silence ends. For the first time, the people who shape Nigerian sports will sit under one roof to confront the failures, answer the hard questions, and rebuild what was broken. 4 panel sessions. Panel 1, From Bronze to Billions, monetizing sports, attracting investment, and finally building an industry that funds itself. Panel 2, Media, Women, and Governance, the triple engine for Nigeria's sports revival. Visibility, inclusion, accountability, the pillars of a modern sports ecosystem. Panel 3, Policy, Power, and Purpose, rebuilding trust and restoring leadership credibility in Nigerian sports. Panel 4, Reckoning with Failure, A no hiding, no excuses breakdown of the governance lapses, player welfare issues, and technical gaps behind Nigeria's World Cup playoff disaster. This is the conversation we can't postpone, the reset Nigeria desperately needs, an unmissable gathering that will shape our sporting future forever. The Big Sports Dialogue 1.0, 24th November, Villa Dome Ikoyi, where Nigeria's sports future begins.
Okay. Will you?
Microphone. There we are. Alrighty, so in the montage there, and during the time since I've last spoken to you, we have had the arrival of far more dignitaries. So I would like to refresh your memory and welcome them all while we have the opportunity. So it is my pleasure to welcome Nelson Ine, who is representing the Group Managing Director of GTI. You're most welcome, sir. We also have Andrew Ekejuiba, who is the Head of Media and Publicity at GTI Group. We have Michelle Obi, who is an ace sportscaster. You're most welcome. We also have Ogechi Moralu, who is the Delivery Manager at the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Publicity and Coordination. We also have in our midst the former NFF President, Mr. Amaju Pinnick. You're most welcome. And also, yes, please, a huge round of applause for Mr. Pinnick. You're most welcome. I actually can't see his face just yet, but I know he is here somewhere. I can sense his presence. And then bringing us in also, representing the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is being ably represented by the Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Malam Shehu Diko. You're most welcome, sir. And it is my pleasure to hand over to the Chairman for him to deliver the President's remarks. You're most welcome, sir. I'll bring it. Take a seat. Take a seat. I'll get it. Thank you very much. We're very grateful for the Chairman's presence and patience as we bring him a microphone so that he can do his good job. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. And in view of time, I think I will stand on all existing protocols. Let me just go straight to the business of the day. It is indeed my honor and privilege to deliver this address on behalf of our dear President and, in fact, the entire stakeholders of sports in this country at this important citizen engagement event, the Big Sports Dialogue. I bring you warm greetings from the President and reaffirms the President's strong commitment to building a modern, vibrant, and prosperous sports sector, one that cares for jobs, supports businesses, engages communities, and uplifts our young people. Today's gathering is about one simple truth. Sports is now a big business everywhere in the world, and Nigeria must take its rightful place in this global industry. Across continents, sports drive tourism, media, entertainment, construction, technology, manufacturing, and youth employment. It creates shared pride, shared identity, and shared economic value. Nigeria cannot remain an admirer from the sidelines. We must participate fully and confidently. That is why the President, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, took the bold step of scrapping the former Ministry of Sports Development to establish the National Sports Commission. This reform is meant to stabilize the system, bring in the right professionals, and create a structure that treats sports as a national asset, not a charity project. The President has given the sector the autonomy, the concessions, and the privileges it needs to attract investment, secure clear governance, and open the door for real private sector participation. Within the renewed structure, the National Sports Commission, under my able leadership and my Director General, Bukola Olapade, is driving the Renewed Hope Initiative for Nigeria's Sports Economy, the RINS project. Our national roadmap for the future of sports. RINS marks a new beginning that aims to modernize governance, expand and upgrade facilities, open clear development pathways for young people and family, reposition sports in a sustainable business sector. We are shifting from consumption to production, from funding to financing, and from archaic administration to a modern global standard sports economy-driven system. Our ambition is clear. We want sports to contribute at least 3% to Nigeria's GDP in the coming years. With a population of over 200 million people, full of passion, talent, creativity, and energy, Nigeria has a very reason to become an undisputed leader in the African and global sports marketplace. To achieve this vision, we are making deliberate and meaningful investment in our infrastructure, our athletes, and the system that supports them. But even more importantly, we acknowledge that we must create the right enablers for strong private sector participation. The goal is not for the NSC to generate revenue for its own incomes. The goal is to provide the enablers that will enrich the entire sports ecosystem so that private investors can confidently put in their money to work, grow the industry, and enjoy its fair returns. The benefit will naturally follow: more jobs, more business opportunities, increased tourism, improved local infrastructure, and a more competitive sports economy. Our aim is to make Nigeria a preferred destination for major African and global sporting events, not solely because government mandates it, but because the ecosystem is profitable, transparent, and attractive to the private investors. This is the future we are building, and we will work hand in hand with the private developers and partners to make it a reality. Another key priority is the gradual, comprehensive professionalization of the domestic sports. For many years, our leagues, our federations, and clubs have operated with structures that did not fully support commercial growth. But we are now taking careful and collaborative steps to elevate these institutions to modern standards. We are strengthening governance frameworks, encouraging federations to embrace sustainable business models, and positioning local competitions to grow into credible commercial assets that can attract investment. But government cannot do it alone. Around the world, it is the private sector that drives innovation in sports. They complement government by building stadiums, run clubs, manage rights, offer technology solutions, and create jobs. Our role at the NSC, under the direct supervision of Mr. President, is to make their work easier, to create the right policies, the right incentives, and the right regulatory environment. We are committed to transparency, efficiency, professionalism, and accountability. These are the qualities that attract the investment and build the trust. As today's dialogue continues, I ask all stakeholders, including subnational government, the private sector, civil society, academia, athletes, media, and citizens to approach it with openness and shared purpose. We need your ideas, your partnership, and your commitment. The future of Nigerian sports will not be built by one arm of society. It must be built by all of us. The President's vision is clear: a sports sector that works, that create jobs, that boost the economy, that inspire our youth, and that raises Nigeria's standing in the world. We want every child with a talent to find hope. We want every investor to find clarity. We want every competition to be commercially viable. We want every sport facility to be active, alive, and productive. And indeed, we want all Nigerian national teams across all sports to be competitive at all times with the only mindset of podium finish. The Renewed Hope Initiative for Nigeria's sports economy, RINS, is not a slogan, it is a mission. Together, we will build a sustainable sports economy for Nigeria by creating a system that is competitive, transparent, globally respected, and economically strong. Therefore, in conclusion, on behalf of His Excellency the President and all of us at the National Sports Commission, I thank you for your presence, your partnership, and your commitment to a better future for Nigeria sports. May today's dialogue inspire bold ideas and meaningful actions. And may it mark the beginning of a new chapter for our great nation, not just in sports, including the advancement of economic progress and development. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Nigeria watched in pain as the Super Eagles fell short in a World Cup playoff we should never have lost. A collapse built on chaos, confusion, and the cracks we've ignored for far too long. A nation disappointed, players frustrated, fans heartbroken, and a system exposed. But on the 24th of November, at the Villa Dome Ikoyi, the silence ends. For the first time, the people who shape Nigerian sports will sit under one roof to confront the failures, answer the hard questions, and rebuild what was broken. 4 panel sessions. Panel 1, From Bronze to Billions, monetizing sports, attracting investment, and finally building an industry that funds itself. Panel 2, Media, Women, and Governance, the triple engine for Nigeria's sports revival. Visibility, inclusion, accountability, the pillars of a modern sports ecosystem. Panel 3, Policy, Power, and Purpose, rebuilding trust and restoring leadership credibility in Nigerian sports. Panel 4, Reckoning with Failure, a no hiding, no excuses breakdown of the governance lapses, player welfare issues, and technical gaps behind Nigeria's World Cup playoff disaster. This is the conversation we can't postpone, the reset Nigeria desperately needs, an unmissable gathering that will shape our sporting future forever. The Big Sports Dialogue 1.0, 24th November, Villa Dome Ikoyi, where Nigeria's sports future begins.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much once again for showing up and being part of history. Before we get into the first panel session, we must give honor to whom honor is due. Adefemi will still be celebrating and also recognizing the very important guests that make our football tick one way or the other, be it the fourth estate of the realm, be it administrators, be it partners, be it sponsors. If you're part of, or maybe just a fan, if you're in the sports ecosystem, you're very important. And you matter to us. And you are the reason why we put this together. Before we go straight into the panel session, I would like to crave your indulgence to please help me celebrate one man will be sending a very, very important message. And I say to him that your role is very important, sir. No one should tell you otherwise. Because if you do not do justice to your role, sir, posterity will judge you. Because the future is in your hands. I'm talking about no other than a man popularly known as Zulu. But because we are in a formal gathering, ladies and gentlemen, please, with a rousing applause, let's welcome the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Grassroots, Mr. Adeboye Adeyinka. Thank you very much to give a short speech. I said to you, no, when you're done with it.
Thank you, Special Authentic Supporters Club. I appreciate you. My powerful and respected Chairman, National Sport Commission, Alhaji Shehu Diko, my own brother, my friend, my boss for many years, Bukola Olokpade, DG Sport Commission, my father, Papa of Sport in Nigerian, Senator Adesheye Ogunlewe, my powerful football administrator, world football administrator, the person of Pinnick. He's a respected man, nobody can play. We were talking of football all over the world. You are welcome, sir. The celebration I just started goes a lot around. Winding like Ramadan wind by 4. You can see the hall. It's full of joy. And I want to thank you all for being here today. Distinguished guests of our sport ecosystem, administrators, and fellow Nigerians, good afternoon. It's an honor to stand here today at the Big Sports 1.0, gathering that signals a new upbringing, a new seriousness, a new resolve for the future of Nigerian sports. I bring warm greetings from the President of the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, a leader whose courage, clarity, and conviction have redefined the direction of our nation. Last 2 years, President Tinubu has shown beyond words that sport is not entertainment. It is a tool for national rebirth, youth empowerment, economic transformation, and global visibility. Under his leadership, historic decisions have been made, decisions that many people before him feared to touch. The scrapping of the Federal Ministry of Sport and the re-establishment of the National Sport Commission as the nation's apex sport institution is one of the boldest reforms since independence. It ended years. The administration overlapped, restored professionalism, and positioned sport as a business, not a favor system. Today, because of this reform, we have a clear national sport vision, structured leadership, and a pathway where athletes, for a long time, are the center of policy. From the revival of the Elite and Podium program to transparent talent development pathways to renew accountability in federation, this administration has laid the strongest foundation for a new era. As a senior special assistant to President on grassroots sport development, my mandate is clear. Find the talent, develop the talent, protect the talent, and ensure no Nigerian child with ability or unsupported. These reforms are not random. Part of President Tinubu Renew Hope Sport agenda, a long-term plan to groom 1 million young athletes, generate thousands of jobs, and position sport as a contributor to our national GDP. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference, the Big Sport Dialogue, comes at a moment. Our athletes are demanding better. Our fans are frustrated. The system must evolve, and the future will not wait for us. But the beauty of it, is that Nigeria is not still. Under this administration, the wheels of reform are turning, the culture is changing, and opportunities are expanding, not just in football, but in athletes, basketball, parasport, combat sport, and emerging sector like e-sports. As we engage today, let us speak frankly but constructively. Let us challenge one another. Let us develop solutions that will lift headlines and a class administration. We own our athletes that much. We own our nation even more. On behalf of the presidency, I commend the organizer of this dialogue for convening a platform where truth meets policy and where vision meets reality. Nigerian sports renaissance has begun, and with President Bola Tinubu's political will, expertise, stoppable spirit of Nigerian youth, that produce champions, inspire the nation and economic. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. Well done. That's lovely. Thank you. All righty. Are we good? Thank you. Oh, goodness gracious. Now I know what it feels like to be the person on the podium with all of the different microphones. Usually it's us holding up the microphone to other people, so it's definitely an experience. Well, before we move on to the next portion of our event, which is our first panel discussion, it is my honor to welcome a few more distinguished guests in our midst. So firstly, we have Bashir Are, who is the CEO of Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority. You're most welcome. We have Waidi Akuni, who is the former Lagos FA chairman. He's also representing EY International. We do have John Shitu, a player and agent amongst us. We have His Excellency Senator Ogunlewe Adesheye, who is the former Minister of Works amongst us. In addition to that, yes, please. In addition to that, we have Abayomi Ogunjimi, who is the president of the Authority Football Club and Authentic Ali Sports. I hope I'm getting that right. Also within our midst, we have Mrs. Ife Ogunlaja, who is representing the Director General of the Lagos State Sports Commission. You are most welcome amongst us here. Now, moving on to our other guests amongst us, we also have Wahid Akumi, who is the former FA chairman of Lagos, an ex-international player. But it is time now for us to go on to our next portion of the show, which is our first panel discussion. And ultimately, as a journalist, it is one that I'm really looking forward to. It is titled Media, Women and Governance. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage for this first panel discussion, we have okay. No problem. The day. It is titled Media, Women and Governance, and it is my pleasure to welcome a wonderful woman to the stage. First and foremost, you are most welcome, Aisha Falode. Please, if you could come to your feet and join the stage. She's also, thank you very much for the warm round of applause. You're most welcome, madam. Thank you. That's an excellent outfit you have on as well. Anywhere you like, anywhere you like. Perhaps you can take the second seat there. Lovely. And then joining her on stage, we have Michelle Obi, who is definitely in our midst. Please do, you're most welcome, sir, to join the stage. Now, we are still expecting the arrival of Arabiri Aderonke Atoyebi, but in her place, we are going to have...
Yes, we'll be having a legend in the media space. His name is Mr. Olisa Aduboah. Of course, he's well known, well-rounded. He's been around the block for far too long. He's an aficionado when it comes to media in the space. Please put your hands together for him as he joins us today. So this particular session was properly curated to be able to touch on the most important part of sports. For those that do not know, sports is first and foremost, predominantly a media event before any other thing. Because if 11 people and probably 50,000 people are the only people that get to see a particular football match between maybe Real Madrid versus Barcelona, where we are in sports will not take place. The reason why people pay heads and shoulders to sponsor the likes of FIFA, UEFA, CAF, and name any other association globally is because they know they've got the eyeballs, they know they've got the reach, and they know they've got the wit. I don't know if we have our moderator in the house. I think she is here, and I want to say a big thank you to her because she had to leave so much to be here today. We're talking about no other. We know her very well. She's a face that we see on our screens time and time again. Our paths cross at a certain point in time. The man that joined us together will be here, Dr. Larry Zamoje. He'll be part of the session later on. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage to moderate the very first session of Media, Women, and Governance. We can't be talking about women and not have enough women on the panel on also moderating it. She goes by the name Cecilia Omorogbe. Cecilia, I want to say thank you very much. Over to you.
I just wanted you to know that.
Okay, yeah, yes, sir. Look, you can have your seat. I'll get you.
No, but she needs a microphone. Do she? No, no. Go ahead, take a seat. Take a seat. Yes, please. She needs.
Good afternoon, everybody.
As soon as we
This particular session is Nigeria's ecosystem standing at a very critical crossroads, and three forces will determine whether this particular sector will collapse out of old habits or rises to a new era of global relevance. And also there's media power, there's women's sports, there's corporate governance, and this section will unpack all these. And not only that, it will be able to connect the different pillars of sports that we have, how we can actually transform sports visibility, its value, its credibility across all levels, especially in relation to women's sports. So this discussion will also how media storytelling, female athletic excellence, and strong governance structure can collectively rebuild trust, attract investment, inspire fans, and create sustainable economic pathways. So this is what we are going to be focusing on today. But basically, there are some key talking points I'll be coming out from here. But before we start, I already know our panelists that are here. Aisha Falode, of course, executive member of Nigeria Football Federation. We all know Michelle Obi, of course, a veteran sport journalist, and also part of those that are driving the sports policy. And Olisa, also a veteran veterans journalist. But basically, we'll start off with this one, which is the major talking point when it comes to sports in Nigeria. The media and, of course, its relevance, credibility, and how we can actually grow the women's game through the media. So I'm going to start off with Aisha Falode. Of course, we know a chairperson of Nigeria Women Football League Premiership. We all know during her time there were a lot of changes that were made. They had new logos. We had some sponsors actually coming in. But that sustainability didn't happen because when the next board came in, a lot of things changed. So these are some of the things we'll be looking at today. So from your own perspective, in terms of media coverage, in terms of sustaining sponsorship, when you have them coming into a different sport, how do we actually how do we actually make sponsors stay in the league, and how do we make women's sports more media friendly, and also how can so many media people come into it in terms of coverage and visibility?
Thank you, Cecilia. So many questions. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. So, first of all, we really must know the importance of media in the success or the failure of any sports gathering. We say the media is the eye. The media is the channel between the audience, the market, the corporate, and the general public. So, in essence, what it means is that there's no sports without media. And media is a strong partner, an integral partner to sports development, grassroots, professional, amateur, whatever it is. So, for any sports sector to succeed, you must first of all realize that importance, that critical role, that relevance of the media. And the media, on the other hand, even though they are a highly disciplined body, they are very professional, they are very thorough, they make the game interesting for us. For the new digital age that we are, we have gone past just sitting in front of the box, looking at live games. As it happens, real time is what is driving sports now. For any sport to thrive, to flourish, to succeed, to have the eyeballs that the investors are looking for, that large number, you must be able to identify as a media organization the areas to push. I'll tell you a short story. When AIT first started, we had what we call the inside of any sporting event that was happening. Michel, you are here. Inside of the Nations Cup, inside of the World Cup, inside of this, inside of that. What opened our eyes was the profits, the money, the brands that were identifying with the inside of, that was after the live game at night, was much more than the investors that were putting money into the live game. And that was so many years ago. That is what the media is about now. It is not by accident that you have a Super Bowl, the halftime of a Super Bowl, selling 30 seconds advert for over $8 million. It is not by chance you have the halftime of a Super Bowl so curated, meeting music plus sports and then influencers, which is why you will see a Serena Williams, for instance, come and do some shuffle dance of a split of a second, a Samuel L. Jackson say something that is all is the media. And then that becomes the talking point for the next one. Kendrick Lamar comes, does his own thing. That halftime show is a big event on its own. We must come to Nigeria and begin to look at how we can use the media, both the federations, the Sports Commission, and I'm happy that what has been done with the Sports Commission today is like putting round pegs in round holes. The people who understand the sector, both from the administrative side and from the investment side. So, if we have been able to get that right, then it must trickle down and translate to the federations. The federations have to be willing to be open, to embrace the media and see them as partners. We do not have data for the media to do their stories, which is why you are watching a UEFA Champions League, for instance. They have so much history. There's so much data behind each and every player. So the commentator is fluid, is flowing. There's harmony between what he's saying and what you are seeing on television. Those data, those information, those history come from a place of research. Some people are doing that, feeding that to the media, who is feeding it to the audience. When we went for the Women's World Cup in Australia, Gianni Infantino told us, he said, look, he understands the power of women's sports, especially football. And that when he wanted to increase the prize money for the women's game, when he wanted to increase media visibility, when he wanted to sell broadcast rights, remember that caused a lot of problems. That people were telling him that he has finally nailed the coffin on women's sports, that nobody was going to put their money, so many millions of dollars, to buy rights for. In the end, it outsold even the prediction of FIFA, to the extent that the organizers were declaring profits in millions. So we must recognize that the women's story is different from the men. Women have to tell their own story. The way the women present their story is in an entertaining way. It's in a way that is endearing, in a way that is fitting for the ambience, which is why, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention brands here. I'm going to go ahead and mention anyway. I must commend MTN for what they are doing with the Super Falcons, or what they started with the Super Falcons. When the Super Falcons, the most successful Nigerian team sports ever, up until now. We are going to talk about that when we come to women's sports. I'm just going to draw out the media aspect. When the MTN started the Super Falcons show, they saw the gap. Even though they are sponsors of the Nigerian Football Federation, they needed to leverage that sponsorship using the platform of women's football. And they said to me, they called me to a meeting and said, look, our girls are going for this WAFCON. This was before the last one, before the success one, before the Mission X. They started that campaign long time ago and said they go out, nobody celebrates them, nobody even knows that they are going anywhere. We do not have story behind this team. We want to take it up as a project. And I said, I will give you a proposal, and that's where we are today. So when they became champions, you had other brands coming now, just interjecting. We want to host you. No, I didn't want to use the word ambush. It can be, it can be very hurting. But that's what they did, essentially. But MTN understood that power. And the content they were creating, both on the social media, digital media, television, even FIFA at the Women's World Cup had to commend the effort of the Nigerian team, which was a program that was taken from the MTN Super Falcons show. All this dancing in the bus, going to the dressing room, whatever you were doing there was content. People were hungry to see such visual, other than that 90 minutes on the field of play. So, I am going to say, just wrap it up here. For any sports to thrive, be it amateur, be it professional, be it grassroots, the media has to be a partner. The media has to be a collaborator. The media, in essence, has to drive the vision of the federations. And the federations have to open up to the media in terms of data. They have to create that. It's essential. If you ask me today, if we have data, which was what I tried to do when I was in the Nigerian Women's Football League, we already had that database. We knew where our players were because we created what was called the DTMS. We had to rebrand. This was to make sure that we have content that the investors were going to be interested in. And of course, sooner than later, we started getting investors. Some people here were influential and strategic to some of the partnership that we got, in doing that. So it's very essential that the media is in the thick of making any sporting event thrive, flourish, entertaining, and embracing.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mitchell, of course, same question goes to you, especially the lapses we've observed when it comes to, the media actually coming into promoting sports in general.
Come again?
Yeah, the same questions goes to you.
Okay,
the lapses we've observed over the years in terms of media coverage when it comes to sports in Nigeria.
I think we have to be very specific. We are Nigerians, and this show is coming because of the power of the media. And I'm happy that the media is setting the pace, dictating the direction, and even providing the opportunity for a solutioning. That's the strength of the media. And if we are talking about a dialogue, we want to believe that it's a dialogue not for the deaf, it's a dialogue that can be expanded. And that expansion can come through the media. That's how media makes its the impact. Media gives life to sports. Indeed, you can't have a beautiful woman like Aisha moving in the dark, nobody sees her. If somebody doesn't bring light to that darkness and focus upon her, carrying the cultural elements that bring out the beauty, you can't appreciate the event. And so the media, essentially, it's like the talking drum. If you have music and you don't really feel the drum, you may not even want to dance. In Nigeria, specifically Nigerian sports, the media over time has not been well appreciated. We talk about 60 years of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria in terms of how they have helped to propel the dynamics of Nigerian sports. And even if you look at the leadership of Nigeria itself, most of them came from the media. The fight for independence, the fight against colonialism, all are all media instigated. But when we bring it narrow, when we narrow it to the specific of how the media can help to forge a viable sports industry at a time when the president, you heard the speech from the chairman talking about a mission of providing for us a sports industry. That sports industry cannot even take a step without the media, because the media is the key. You lock it, you see darkness. You open it, you see light. And in Nigeria, those who are in the helm of management, the leadership, to put it in blunt terms, have not really sat back to understand how they can work well with the media to realize the objectives for which Nigerians want to see. Our great expectation has not been fully exploited because we've had individuals who are shy of the media, who see the media as those who want to come and perhaps disrupt their convenience. They don't see the media as a partner that can support, that can help to enliven and, of course, excite the public that wants to know what is happening. We have an industry that, I don't even want to call it an industry. When you talk about the Nigerian sports, it's a sector. It's yet to even become an industry. Forget that we have what they call a sports industry policy. That is just still on the cupboard there. We are yet to even start implementing what it is. For this sports sector, we need to see how to use those elements of the media that can not only generate revenue, but add value and even give emotional joy to those who can invest. Okay. And so, in terms of coverage, the media will want to cover what the people want. Okay. And if the people want to see the best of their abilities, the best of sports, you have to get the media to follow that through. Okay. And in terms of even governance, the media has a way of opening up, providing the opportunity for transparency, and also giving the level of accountability. We are the ones who go after the individuals who don't want to give account. We bring them into question by asking questions. Okay. Of course, you know the media law, which is operational, yeah. It helps us. So I don't want to really limit the scope of this event to just how the media can find a place in giving life to sports, but also how the media itself can reorganize its own self, okay, to provide a direction for Nigerian sports. Okay. And that's why we have seen over time that those who have been in the thick of the media, when they have the opportunity to govern, they excel. Indeed, you cannot get to put a paper to bed, yeah, if you don't get the right kind of stories. And that kind of duty, that sense of diligence, we carry it through in every assignment. So I want to believe that the media should not only be appreciated and recognized, but the media should find a position in sports that is, okay, critical and of course, Cardinal.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mitchell, for that submission. Olisa, so my question to you will be on this one. As media, are they actually doing enough are we seeing them doing really, really enough to, project the sport?
Okay, yeah, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for that question. Just to explain why I'm here, I'm not randomly here. Apart from being a sports fan, I've also been my companies have been actively involved in Nigerian sports and African sports since 1999. So just to give a bit of a background. So I've always been in the background, but I have companies that have invested heavily in sports in this country over the past few decades. Sports and media, when it comes to Nigeria, we have just started. We've barely scratched the surface. There's nothing wrong with the media. There's nothing wrong with the marriage. But what is wrong is our sports. And I'm not just talking about football, I'm talking sports in general. We have to be honest with ourselves. When I was invited to be part of this thing, I didn't know I was going to speak here. But now I have the opportunity. There's some very important gentlemen and ladies who are here today. And I would like them to hear a point of view from somebody who's been suffering for 30 years plus. And I mean suffering, big time. Not just emotionally, financially, mentally, physically. We have invested in sports. Our system is broken. If we don't understand that, if we don't realize that, then we're fooling ourselves. There's no point in us meeting here, and big thank you to Aaron for making this possible, for convening it. But we all need to look at ourselves and tell ourselves the hard truth. Our system is broken. We don't have a functioning sports ecosystem. Not just football. We've had history of where our sports has been done in a very haphazard, very, very lackadaisical manner. The rest of the world, not just African countries, Morocco, South Africa, Egypt, they left us behind a long time ago. We have been suffering from our lack of being purposeful and intentional. Let me explain. Let me go a bit deeper. We need to look at the system that's in place now and look at ourselves and say it's not working. We have so many intelligent people, smart men and women who run our sports on a national level. They need to decide if we are going to move forward our sports. They need to come with a new system. We need to convene a system that takes sports back to the grassroots level, that builds a feeder system for all sports. Now, we cannot cover all the sports that you have in the Olympics or all the sports you have all over the world. Let's decide, pick 20, 25 sports and focus on them. Create centers, excellent centers, in all 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Then let's get back to the secondary school grassroots feeder system, primary school. Let's get back to the universities. We need to do that. Over the years, we've had sports administrators get on a plane and fly around Europe looking for players of Nigerian heritage. I have friends who have kids. I have a friend who has a kid in the Arsenal under-12. This young boy scores 3-4 goals. His mother says he will never play for Nigeria. That's it. We are not going to build our sports by going to clubs in Europe and looking at the under-18 academy and trying to steal players. Okay. Those countries, they're not stupid. They're looking at us like, oh, we've been grooming this guy since under-8, and you want to come at under-18 10 years later and take him and play for Nigeria. No. We have to decide how serious we are. Okay. Right. For those of you who might be younger, or those of you who might be my age mate or older, we are suffering from a very selective amnesia. Nigeria never used to qualify for the World Cup.
That's number one.
Well, we look at it from the aspect of structure and
Administration.
Administration, structure, governance, in terms from that angle.
If you ask me, I think we have a structure existing. We can make it better.
Okay.
Administrators to a large extent complacent because of when we talk about welfare, it's not enough, and I think they can do better. They are all here, and I'm not their friend because I always call them out. A lot of them don't like me. I don't like them too because they don't do enough for the women's game. So like Madam said earlier, Madam Aisha, she's my madam anyway. So, and I'm privileged to be on the same panel with you, ma. So, and like she said earlier, that the most successful team in Nigeria is the Super Falcons. Where are these girls? How are they doing? How much attention are we giving them? How much support are we giving them? How much visibility are they getting? So we need to start talking about how to support them. There's a structure on ground. Please don't get me wrong.
Okay,
I work with the Football Federation too, and there's a structure.
That's what most people really don't know about.
There is a structure.
Let me come to Aisha in this one so we don't continue with the argument. In terms of structure, in terms of governance, do you think that's one of the things that is actually affecting the growth and the fact that the women's sport is actually undervalued in terms of marketing?
Okay. It's about a big sport dialogue.
Yeah.
And we are restrictive. We seem to be talking about football a lot here. So
volume of the microphone. Thank you very much. Better. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, I think to help us put what we are doing here in perspective today, teacher, I'll come to you in a moment. We're just trying to do some house cleaning very quickly because we've got major dignitaries in the house. Okay, while pleasantries are being shared, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for honoring us today, and more importantly, by getting straight into the thick of the action. Yes. In 2 hours, 30 minutes, we'll be done with everything we're doing here today. I want to say, as I get into the next segment, a very, very big thank you to a man who, if it is not probably giving a shot, will not be here today. Talking about no honor, man. The doctor himself, who probably said, okay, Aaron, I think you know a little bit of sports. Come and learn honor us and let's see how we take from there. Ladies and gentlemen, please give your hands together for the doctor himself, a legend in the game, a pioneer of sports broadcasting in Nigeria, and a man that has done so much for sports in general. Dr. Larry Zawoje, please put your hands together for him. If you are not distracted on the time, I will thank you for honoring us today. Before I hand over to Ayo, I would crave the indulgence of everyone to be patient with us. In 2 hours, 30 minutes, we will be done. Because we have important activities we are dragging on the public to speak to us and speak to the bar.